Hello, my name is Memo. This is my channel, FancyMemo. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to this week where I talk about the best and worst music of 2023. I've already covered the worst songs of the year, the worst albums of the year, the best songs of the year, and today I will be talking about the best albums of the year. I'm very excited to talk about it. I love this week. I love doing this every year, and I hope you guys enjoy watching these videos every year. If you do, please subscribe. I do music related content all the time. Not really, but when I have time, I try to make music-related content just for you guys. And if you're already subscribed and you want more of this for some reason, check out my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. If you're into NBA basketball, I have a podcast with a buddy of mine. It's called Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. We have some fun episodes coming up. We drop every Monday. We took a break these last 2 months, but we're coming back with it. So it should be exciting. It should be cool. If you're into the NBA, check it out. But yeah, I think I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about these 50 albums. I'm excited. This year wasn't the best for music, not gonna lie. I thought it was a pretty slow year. I like to rate my albums. I like to review them on TikTok. And unfortunately, I only gave 2 albums 9 out of 10s, which is very low. Usually I give like around 5 9s in a year. There was this one year I gave out 7. The year that like Donda dropped, that year I gave out like 7 9s. This year it's only 2. A lot of these albums in my list are 8 out of 10s, mostly 8 out of 10s. There's a good chunk of 7 out of 10s as well. You guys probably don't care, but for me, this shows that it's a weaker year, but there's still some good within this year. So let's talk about them. Starting at number 50, we're gonna speed through the first 25 and then talk a little bit more about each album for the top 25. But yeah, let's start with number 50. Which goes to James Blake with Playing Robots into Heaven. Number 49 goes to Maxo with Even God Has a Sense of Humor. Number 48 goes to Leon Thomas with Electric Dusk. Number 47 goes to Daniel Caesar with Never Enough. Number 46 goes to Nas and Hit Boy with Magic 3. Number 45 goes to Mick Jenkins with The Patience. Number 44 goes to Keitronime, Keitronada, and Amine with Keitronime. Number 43 goes to Kevin Abstract with Blanket. Number 42 goes to Tizo Touchdown with How Do You Sleep at Night. Number 41 goes to No Name with Sundial. Number 40 might be my most controversial decision because a lot of people absolutely love this album and probably a lot of people's top 10, top 5 album. And I do enjoy this album, just not as much as other people. And that is Caroline Polachek, Desire I Want to Turn Into You. Number 39 goes to Gorillaz with Cracker Island. Number 38 goes to Paramore with This Is Why. Number 37 goes to Zombie Juice with Love Without Conditions. Very underrated. Speaking of underrated, number 36 goes to Goyard, IBN Said, and Ghais Guevara with Goyard, Comin, Exordium. Number 35 goes to Just Friends with Gusher. Number 34 goes to Key Glock with Glaucoma 2. Number 33 goes to Olivia Rodrigo with Guts. Number 32 goes to Leve with Bewitch, a great album for Leve, very successful album, but I actually prefer number 31, which is Leve's album with the Iceland Symphony Orchestra. It's called A Night at the Orchestra. Very beautiful album. If you love Leve on Bewitch, you're gonna love the orchestral album. Number 30 goes to Toby Lou and Farada with Decent. Number 29 goes to Real Badman and Blue with Bad News. Number 28 goes to Aesop Rock with Integrated Tech Solutions. Number 27 goes to ICECOLDBISHOP with Generational Curse. Number 26 goes to Jessie Ware with That Feels Good. And yeah, that is the first 25 albums. Now let's talk about the top 25 albums, starting with Nas and Hit Boy with Magic 2. They dropped 2 albums this year, concluding their Magic series. I prefer Magic 2 over Magic 3, but they're both great albums, and it's incredible how they've been able to do so well, even though Nas is so old at this point. I'm so happy for success. I hope nothing but the best for Nas and Hit Boy, now that they're on their separate ways doing different things now. Number 24 goes to Earl, Sweatshirt, and The Alchemist with VOIR. I'm usually not a big Earl fan, but I really enjoy this album. This might be my favorite Earl album, honestly. And you can't go wrong with Alchemist production, so that's probably why. Number 23 goes to Paris, Texas with Midair. I love how they mesh a lot of genres together, like punk, rock, rap, and I think they do it very well. There's some great features here as well, so check it out. Number 22 goes to Larry June and The Alchemist with The Great Escape. Again, you can't go wrong with Alchemist production. It's very lush and beautiful, and I think Larry June fits well with that production with his monotone voice. Number 21 goes to L. Michaels Affair, I believe that's how you say it, and Black Thought with Glorious Game. Another older rapper that's still killing it, no matter which producer he works with. He always comes through with some of the best raps of the year. Number 20 goes to Navy Blue with Ways of Knowing. I'm usually not a Navy Blue fan, but he turned me into a fan with this one. I love how warm and welcoming the instrumentals are, while Navy Blue is talking about very serious subjects. It all works out really well, so I really enjoyed this album. Number 19 goes to 100 gecs with 10,000 gecs. It's chaotic, it's weird. If you're not a fan of 100 gecs, you're probably not gonna like this album, but I've been a fan of them for a bit now, and I love it. It's so chaotic. There's some fun tracks here. Number 18 goes to Foo Fighters with But Here We Are. I don't really listen to Foo Fighters. One thing that I always try to do is try to listen to more rock music because I feel like I'm missing out. So this was technically my first Foo Fighters album I've ever listened to, and it's great. It's beautiful. I don't know if it's like their other stuff, but yeah, there's some very touching and somber moments on here. I know that they dedicated this album for some people that have passed away, and a lot of the songs here got me like emotionally, so there's like a special place in my heart for some of these tracks. Number 17 goes to Danny Brown with Quaranta. A very mature sounding Danny Brown album. It's nothing like he's done before. There are some chaotic moments as always, but he's really talking about and reflecting about his life as a 40-year-old rapper and about this stage of his life. It's very vulnerable, very brave of him to come out with a record as mature as this one. Number 16 goes to TK Maiza with Sweet Justice. I've been a TK Maiza fan for years. She has a special place in my heart because she, has commented on my videos, have shared my videos on Instagram and stuff, and I'm absolutely proud of her. I know it's been a long time coming. She's been working up to this moment for so long, and I can tell, and it turns out very great. Very diverse album. There's some dance, there's some hardcore rap, there's some R&B jams, some poppier jams. If you liked her past work, especially with the Last Year Was Weird series, you're gonna like this album. Number 15 goes to Wall Socket by Underscores. I don't know much about Underscores. I was kind of late on this album, but man, this is such a fun album. It's like a mix of rock, pop, hyper pop. It's chaotic, it's fun, it's funny, but it has some somber and touching moments as well. And yeah, I can't wait to continue listening to this album more and more. I really enjoy it. Number 14 goes to Billy Woods and Kenny Segal with Maps. This is an incredible album, one of my favorite Billy Woods albums. I think every time he links up with Kenny Segal, they always make magic, and some of the most accessible Billy Woods songs are on this project. I love the jazzier moments on some of the instrumentals here. The first time I discovered Billy Woods was with their collaboration on Hiding Places. I think that's still my favorite Billy Woods album, but this is up there. The Maps is definitely up there because it is truly amazing, and I think they worked very well together. Number 13 is Lil Yachty with Let's Start Here. Lil Yachty's psychedelic rock album. This is not the most groundbreaking rock album. It's highly influenced by acts like Pink Floyd. He's not really doing much to add on or progress this genre, but for what it is, it's amazing. I think his weird auto-tuned voice actually works well over the psychedelic instrumentals. I replayed this album a lot this year. It's very fun. There's some great moments, and I do appreciate Lil Yachty trying something new on this thing, and I think it's his best album by far. I don't know if he could top this. I don't know if he could capture this same magic, but part of me hopes he can, because this is great. It honestly is one of my favorite albums of this year. Number 12 goes to Paranol with After the Magic. This is, I believe, like a Korean rock band. Don't know much about them, but this album is very dreamy, is very somber, has some magical and cool moments throughout it. There's beauty and chaos within this album. It's a beautiful listen that you should check out. And then number 11 goes to Pink Pantheress with Heaven Knows. This is such a fun, cute album. I absolutely love Pink Panthers. Like, I'm in love with Pink Pantheress. She is so pretty, but her voice is even prettier. I think she is so talented. The lane that she's carved for herself is incredible. I don't think anybody can do what Pink Pantheress does with these like very chaotic, fast-paced, drum-heavy productions, pairing that with her high-pitched, buttery smooth vocals. It's so cute. It's so fun. There are some great moments. And yeah, nearly made my top 10 albums of the year. But let's talk about the top 10 albums. albums, because we made it. We finally made it to the top 10 albums of 2023 based off of my opinion. Again, it's always based off of my opinion. It's subjective as always. And let's talk about number 10, which goes to Black Country New Road with their live album Live at Bush Hall. I briefly spoke about this yesterday, but I'll go over it again for those who don't know. Black Country New Road is a British band. I love their first two albums with Isaac Woods as their lead singer. He gave it his all vocally on the mic for every song that they made. Their music was so good that last year, Ants From Up There, their last album together, was my album of the year. They even had my song of the year last year, and a big part of that is because of Isaac Woods. But unfortunately, right before the release of Ants From Up There, Isaac Woods and Black Country New Road parted ways. There was a lot of questions about the future of the band, but after this release, I think the future is very bright. They're not replacing Isaac Woods. Instead, they're sticking with the core members of the band and basically taking turns on vocals. I think Tyler is the best vocalist. She has an incredible voice, very dynamic. Of course, it's nothing like Isaac Woods. Isaac is such a unique talent that it's going to be impossible to replace him, but I think the vocalists in the band are still great. Again, Tyler is the best vocalist. I love Lewis's singing, even though it's very amateurish. All of the singers in this band are great. They really stepped up their game on this album and proved that they're not going anywhere. They are here to stay, and I'm very happy for it because they're like one of my favorite bands right now. And of course, the instrumentals are always so lush and beautiful and grand as always. They work so well together. The lyrics are great. Singing is great. Instrumentals are great. Like, what else can you ask for? It's an incredible live album. I highly recommend it. I'm obviously a big fan. Number 9 goes to Kali Uchis with Red Mood in Venus. Every time she drops a new album, I always think it's her best album, even though it's hard. It's hard to choose. They're all great for different reasons. I love Kali throughout this entire album. I love her attitude on certain songs. Even though there were some features here, no one could take away Kali's spotlight. She was the highlight on every single song here. Even though there were some big name features, she is the superstar here. It is clear. It's night and day. There's songs here that are poppier, that lean into a Latin pop vibe, and yeah, I feel like everything she touches is gold. She is amazing, and this caps off a great 3-album run for her, in my opinion. So yeah, shout out to Kali Uchis. Number 8, I was kind of late on this as well. It's Jeff Rosenstock with HELLMODE. I've heard about this guy for a while, but I've kind of been sleeping on him, and now I regret it because after listening to this, I've been missing out. Like, this is such a fun, cool album. It's very chaotic and crazy. It's a punk pop album. There's some catchy moments on here, and although there's a lot of fun moments, there are also some sweet and vulnerable moments as well. Like, there's tracks here that are very relatable, and I can't get enough of it. I'm sure it'll have a lot of replay value for you. It's a very fun listen, doesn't overstay its welcome. I love this album a lot. Please give it a listen. Number 7 goes to Sampha with Lahai. This is such a hyped album because there was a lot of years and years and years between this album and his last album, so the hype was real, and he came through. Sampha came through with an incredible, gorgeous album. It's so lush and pretty, angelic and heavenly. His voice is one of a kind. There is no one that can sing like him. I love his vocals. I'm sure everybody does, but I can't emphasize it enough. His vocals are incredible. And yeah, I love how vulnerable he gets on this album. Like, he really came through on every aspect, whether it's instrumentals, singing, lyricism. You could tell that he used all that time to really craft a incredible album. There was a lot of thought that went into this album. It's clear to me. So shout out to Sampha for that. I really appreciate him taking the time to make an album as incredible as this. Number 6 goes to Genesis Owusu with Struggler. Now, I did my first reaction to this album a few months ago, and although I enjoyed it from the start, I was slightly disappointed it wasn't like Smiling with No Teeth, because I felt like Genesis didn't show off all of his talents throughout this album when it comes to diving into different genres. He mainly stuck with like a punky, synth-heavy sonic landscape on Struggler, and I was hoping he'd dive into more genres, but the more I listened to this album, the more it made sense to me. It pairs well with what he was trying to go for. So I ended up enjoying how cohesive this album sounds. He doesn't dive into so many genres, but it does feel more focused, which I really like. And I think that helped me a lot when it comes to understanding the point of this album, which is basically struggle. You know, this is a concept album about a cockroach trying to survive. The cockroach being human beings, right? And our need to survive a chaotic world. This cockroach goes through a lot of obstacles throughout this album. Even though it seems never ending, the cockroach does keep going, it does keep surviving, and I think it's a beautiful message. Life is tough, but you just gotta keep going and it'll all work out. Some of the songs here I replayed a lot. There's songs here that are very catchy, again with a lot of replay value. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but yeah, it's nearly a top 5 album of the year for me. It's insanely good. Shout out to Genesis Owusus, because he really came through with another incredible album. He is one of my favorite artists right now, so I hope he keeps it up. Alright, now let's talk about the top 5 albums of the year, and we're gonna talk about probably the biggest album of the year, and that is Travis Scott's Utopia. I'm not really a Travis Scott fan. I don't like him as a person, and I do think some of his songs are overrated, but I can't deny that he is very impactful. He does have some great songs. He has some incredible albums, and this is one of them. I think Utopia is one of his best works. I think it might be his second best album. I love how dark and dreary this landscape is. I think Travis is one of the more creative artists in the trap lane, and you can see why with some of his decision making throughout this album. I think he's an incredible curator and provides a lot of incredible and unique features like Bon Iver, Sampha, Beyonce, Bad Bunny, 21 Savage, James Blake. There's a lot of great features here, some not so great features as well, but it's like a Kanye album. They all really like came through and tried their best on this album. And speaking of Kanye, there is a lot of heavy influence from Kanye on this album, and it is hard to escape it. But for the most part, I do like what Travis is doing on this album. There are some duds. It's not a perfect album, but you know, for a trap album, it's one of the more unique and fun experiences I had this year, especially before the features were released. Being surprised hearing Tizo touchdown on Mod Jam for the first time, or Sampha on, I believe it's called My Eyes. It's such a fun moment. And yeah, there's some fun songs, there's some touching songs. I think some of Travis's best rapping are on this album. There are also some bad lines as well, but you can't win them all. For the mainstream, I think this is like the best album for sure. Let's move on to number 4, and it goes to Group Therapy with I Was Mature for My Age, But I Was Still a Child. Group Therapy is a rap trio consisting of former child stars. The members are Jada Grace, Swim, and TJ Online. And yeah, this is by far the most fun album I've listened to. I compare this a lot with Brockhampton, not just because they're both alternative hip-hop groups, but because they're both very fun. Brockhampton provided a lot of fun albums, especially during the Saturation series. I haven't had as much fun with an album since the Saturation series until I listened to this new Group Therapy album. I love how they blend in so many different genres like R&B, hip-hop, of course, rock, punk. There's an acoustic track here that is my least favorite song, but still, if you're into that, they got it. They dive into so many avenues. It's a lot of fun, but they have some more serious and mature moments as well. I absolutely love their closing track, Staying Alive. It is probably the best closing track out of any album this year, and yeah, they have a lot of potential. I think they can do a lot of big things moving forward, and I can't wait for it. All right, number 3, I'm gonna do a trigger warning for this. I'm gonna be a little serious because this artist was accused and I believe arrested of, I'll say the R word, like I don't want to trigger anybody. There's a lot of evidence against him, and I hope justice will be served. I wish nothing but the best for the victims in the situation. I have always been the type of person that will never lie about my opinions, so even though it was kind of a hard decision whether or not to leave him in the list or not, I will say this artist did provide one of my favorite albums of this year. So even though he sucks for what he did, I can't deny that this album is one of my favorites. Yeah, let me stop beating around the bush. Number 3 goes to Ugly by Slow Tie. When it comes to the music, this is one of my favorite albums of the year, mostly because of the emotional impact it left on me. Because of that, I couldn't take it off my list. I really couldn't. It's that good to me. Slowthai is known for giving it his all for every album, and I think he did that and then some with this album. It's such an emotional roller coaster. You start off with some like fun and great tracks, but the more you listen to this album, the more despair and agony you get to listen to throughout each song. Slowthai is like straight up screaming on some of these songs. There's songs that remind me of You by Kendrick Lamar, how Kendrick was basically crying while rapping. I feel like Slowthai did the same, but even better on some of these tracks. And yeah, there was no other album released this year that had such an impactful emotional hold on me. There's some beautiful songs. Even though he's known as a rapper, he really delved into this punk rock lane and did it so much justice, in my opinion. It's mind-blowing. It's probably his best album to date. It sucks that I love this album so much, and it's from an artist that did horrible things. It's a weird dynamic that I'm trying to wrestle with, but yeah, Ugly is number 3 on the list. Alright, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 goes to McKinley Dixon with Beloved Paradise Jazz. McKinley Dixon is a very underrated rapper that I discovered about like 2 years ago. He had a great jazz rap album released a couple years ago. Ever since that album, I knew that he had the potential for great things, and I didn't know that this tiny short album that's like 20 to 30 minutes long was gonna be that great thing. I didn't expect this small album to have such punch, you know, because this is not only an incredible jazz rap album, but it is so grand and elegant. It reminds me of Lil Sims. Sometimes I might be introvert because of the grandiosity within the instrumentals and his vocal performance as well. He really comes through with some like heroic sounding moments. There's a lot of strings within this album. Some of the best rapping you'll hear all year are on this album, rapping about his youth. There's also the song about the kitchen table and how the most important conversations revolve around the kitchen table. It happens at the kitchen table. Or his guilt for becoming a rapper even though the people he grew up with are dying in the streets. Like, there are a lot of eye-opening tragic lyricism within this album, and it's paired beautifully with these grand instrumentals, and he had a lot of help with some incredible features. Ghais Guevara killed it with his verse. Celine Hayes has my favorite feature on this album. She reminds me a lot of No Name, and she really came through with an incredible feature. There's a lot to love on this album. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's very short. So if you, for some reason, have not listened to this album, please do. I think this is going to be an underground classic. It is my top 2, so it is one of my 9 out of 10s of the year. Give it a listen, please. Do not sleep on this. Now we made it to number 1. My number 1 album of the year goes to JPEGMAFIA and Danny Brown with Scaring the Hoes. This is one of the most chaotic and fun albums I've listened to all year. It has some eerie and dark moments, but some fun and funny moments as well. Danny Brown and JPEGMAFIA is a match made in heaven. They're both two of the best and most creative artists in experimental hip-hop, and when they came together with this, it's just pure bliss. Like, they really complement each other so well. JPEG's production is insane on this thing. Some of the weirdest beats you'll ever hear. There's some beautiful moments as well, like Kingdom Hearts Key, which has the only feature Red Veil on it. That song is incredible. Danny Brown's lyricism was insane. He is so funny at times. Like, I am obsessed with this album. I think it's incredible. I love it so much that I have 2 copies of it on vinyl. Look at that. And yeah, this is some of their best work. I absolutely love what they did on here. And you know, every year I'm looking for that experimental album that gonna scratch that itch, that weird chaotic itch for me. And this year it turned out to be my album of the year. Thank you to JPEGMAFIA and Danny Brown, because they dropped an incredible album that I will cherish forever, even though it might scare the host. So yeah, that's it. That is List Week. That is my top 50 albums of the year. I hope you all enjoyed. I need a break from talking. I've been talking a lot today, but yeah, I love doing this every year, and to see that people still are interested in this content from me makes my heart warm. You know, I'm not that consistent. This channel is kind of dead, but there's always people that tune in for these videos, and I appreciate you guys that do, that stick around and look forward to these videos. Like, there's people that DM me asking for my end of the year list. I cherish you guys for checking out my content, looking forward to my content, and showing me love from time to time. I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have an amazing year this year. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, makes sense, right? Comment down below, what is your favorite album of the year for 2023? Mine is JPEGMAFIA's and Danny Brown's Scaring the Host. If you like music related content like this, please subscribe, since that is what I do here. And if you're already subscribed and you want more of this for some reason, check them out Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. If you're into NBA basketball, I have a basketball podcast called Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I do it with a buddy of mine. It's very fun. We drop episodes every Monday. Check it out. But yeah, I'm done here. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Goodbye.